Hey, welcome back to Try This from The Washington Post. I'm Cristina Quinn, here with our final class in this 3-part course on how to create more joy in your life. In the second class, we shared 2 exercises you can do to create joy. For this last class, I went back to writer Steven Petrow for advice on ways you can spread that joy around. Because it turns out doing good is good for you. So we're in the holiday season now, and, it's very much a joyful time, a heavily branded joy, right?
Joyful in air quotes, as I'm doing here.
But the holidays can be really hard for a lot of people. And it seems like one of the big themes in your book, one of the biggest takeaways was the best way to create joy really involves giving, whether it's of yourself, your time, vulnerability. But could you elaborate on that?
Formally volunteering to help someone through a group or just doing something for friends or neighbors, that also is part of how we feel better about ourselves, how we can give something to someone else. That also, you can sit back and say, well, I think that was a joyful moment. And
Right.
It's true. But many people are in need, and you don't need to go to a 501c3 and volunteer through them. You can just help a neighbor who might be ill, drive someone somewhere. It can be one-offs as well. You
Right.
will get the helper's high.
And the more you do it, the better you'll feel. A 2018 meta-analysis published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology examined 27 studies on the effects of performing acts of kindness. It showed that spreading some goodness around boosts an individual's subjective happiness and well-being, whether it's through volunteering, paying it forward, or, as Steven explains, an unexpected moment with a stranger. This happened at a bakery he loves.
They make the best scones, and when peaches are in season, they're just incredible. I went there specifically, as do many, many people, and I was on this long line on a Sunday morning, and the scones in the case are dwindling, and finally it's one scone left and one person ahead of me. And I whispered her, the croissants are amazing. And she chooses the croissant. I am from New York City. I think I need to disclose that at this point. So I get up to the case and I say, I'll take that last scone. All of a sudden, apparently there's a fellow behind me as well as all these other people who shouts, that's mine, that's mine. I've been in line for 20 minutes. And I turn around and I'm thinking, he's behind me. If he has been in line for 20 minutes, that means I've been in line for 19 myself. And my instinct was to say something rude. But I had also been practicing just taking a moment or taking a pause in between being provoked in real life and how I was going to respond. And, it was probably like 2 breaths. But something happened in me, and I said to him, would you like half? I mean, I was shocked that's what I said, and he was shocked. And then he said, after his pause, let me buy something else and we'll share both of them.
Oh.
We sat down, we shared our pastries, we had a real conversation. Mm-hmm. It was really one of those powerful moments of how we can share or transmit joy.
It was a meaningful connection that came out of a moment of compassion for a stranger. Sounds familiar, right? In our first episode, Emiliana Simon Thomas emphasized how fostering connection is one of the pillars of joy. There's another way to foster that connection. It's simple, it's elegant, and it's kind of a dying form of communication. It's picking up the phone and calling someone.
I hate the phone. But there's also something about human voices that's connecting, that's becoming rarer. And you never know when someone is going to really appreciate that. I think everybody's going to appreciate that, but sometimes people really need that. I am thinking about you. You're on my mind. I'm taking a step to call you and talk to you, and that is, it's easy to do. It's free, and it's very powerful. And
right.
Just let people open and become vulnerable with you, and then yes, you can step in and hear them and hug them, when that's appropriate.
But reaching out to friends doesn't have to mean picking up the phone. After the break, another way to spread joy and invite a little mystery. Years ago, Steven did an experiment with his friends. He asked 4 male friends to send him a postcard with the same greeting, without signing their names. Steven wanted to know if he could recognize any of his friends' handwriting. It turns out he couldn't identify any of them through their penmanship. None of them.
I mean, if you think about your friends or colleagues, do you know their handwriting generally?
No. I mean, my friends, like my closest friends who I've known since we were young, since we were like all we had was writing, yes. That's a really great question because now that I think about it, I think like friends that I've made more recently, no, because it's all been over text or email.
Yeah.
Maybe an occasional like, birthday card and Christmas card with just like the signatures, but
If that, usually
Yeah.
it's just, the family photo and people don't even sign them anymore.
That's true. So in the spirit of sharing, dust off that quill. It's time to write to your friends.
Find somebody who has something special coming up, the birthday or an anniversary, or really for no reason at all, and send them a note and take some time to reflect on what you have to say. Then mail the card to them and see what happens.
For this version of the exercise, you can sign your name and let them know who you are. But if you're like, I already do that, then you can level up to the Mystery Writer Challenge.
That is, you don't sign your name, but you try to write enough in the letter or card that they can guess who you are and sort of have this surprise.
I love that.
I love that too. These have been time tested, but I have to say, now that I've become the recipient of several mystery card challenges, I've been stumped every single time. So that tells me something. That tells me I don't know this person's handwriting and I can't figure it out. And that's I guess that helps us to understand a little bit more about the problem. That we get disconnected, even though it seems like, between Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, we know everything. Well, maybe not.
Maybe not. Think about the times you've received an unexpected card or letter from an old friend. It's usually a welcome surprise and an affirmation of your bond with this person. Better yet is if the note is written intentionally about the friendship and how meaningful it is. This exercise also reminds me of how giddy I feel after writing a reference letter for someone. It feels pretty great to list reasons why somebody is amazing. When we first met Steven in the second class, he disclosed that his friends called him Eeyore. Well, not anymore. Not since embarking on his journey for joy.
Now more of them call me Tigger.
That is quite the makeover.
I've mind shifted.
That is a real rebrand. Because going from Eeyore to Tigger is quite a leap to make, pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you feel about this rebrand?
Well, I don't think of it as a rebrand per se. I think of it as perhaps growth or evolution of myself. To be honest, I felt that change had happened in me before others commented on it, and it pleased me to feel it myself because that is what I was seeking.
Yeah,
and I wasn't exactly sure of that. And then to have the affirmation from others, it gave me a great sense of gratitude that that was being recognized, and presumably I was emitting something into the world that was different than I had been.
Okay, recap. Number 1, engaging in acts of kindness can boost your overall happiness. Consider ways you can connect to your community through volunteering, helping out a neighbor or friend, or simply starting a conversation with a stranger. Number 2, pick up the phone and call someone, and just listen. Number 3, the handwriting exercise. Find someone who has something special coming up, a birthday or an anniversary, or my personal favorite, no reason at all. Reflect on what you want to say in your note and send it off. Consider it an affirmation of your connection with this person. If you want to make it a little weird, aka more delightful and surprising, don't sign your name, but try to write enough that they can guess who you are. Oh, and don't forget to buy stamps. And a quick reminder, Steven Petrow's book is The Joy You Make, and it was a true joy to read and learn from him. That's it for our course on how to cultivate and spread more joy. I've learned so much from making these audio courses, and if you've made it this far, I'm guessing you have too. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And the best way to support this work is by subscribing to the Washington Post. You can do that at washingtonpost.com/subscribe or through the link in our show notes. And finally, if you have suggestions for what kinds of courses you'd love to hear, please send them our way at trythis@washpost.com. Try This is produced and hosted by me, Cristina Quinn. Additional producing by Taylor White and Eliza Dennis. The show's editors are Allison Michaels and Kanya Krit von Kikjorn. Additional editing by Renita Jablonski. Sound design and mixing is by Zach Schmidt. Theme music is by Catherine Anderson. Show art is by Kati Huertas with design editing from Christian Font and Greg Manifold. Audrey Valbuena built our digital course page, which you can find at washingtonpost.com/trythis. Find our courses on how to get better sleep, making the most of your friendships, how to enjoy cooking more, and the most beneficial ways to use self-affirmations right here on the Try This feed. Thank you for listening.